So in today's class, as we discussed in the last class, that will be discussing about storing and analyzing attack map data, means whatever TTP we extracted, how we are going to analyze that further. So the community, threat intel community is still figuring this out. There is no single way to storing and analyzing for everyone based on which can satisfy the requirements of each and everything, such as humans or machine. For humans, they may have a different requirements, and the machine may have a different requirements, such as human needs a human readable format, such as written in English or natural language, or machine needs to have in a machine readable format, such as JSON. Also, there is if you are sharing the intel, that TTPs with the community, either human or machine, how you is gonna give the context, like why you are saying that this TTP attacker has employed in the victim infrastructure. So that is a big question. Then how detail you have to explain the TTPs, these things we discussed in the last class. So whether we want to go just for the technical level details or the procedure level details. Also there will be multiple intels of the past attacks and the current attacks. So how you are going to correlate them and connect with the other intels what we have in the community based on like the incidents which happened in the past, the APT groups which has been already known, or the campion APT campions and other indicators. Figure out if somehow we figure all these things, then there is still a question regarding how we are going to import and export this intelligence with the machines or the tools which we have in the victim infrastructure for defensive purpose. So to list out or to save the data, the first step which we all follow and which is universal is the Excel. To list out the information, to store the information, which even the attack navigator started with the, firstly it started on the Excel itself only. Now later on they created their own version by improving again and again. Also there is open source threat intel platform named MISP, which allows organizations to share threat intel data. So here if an organization get attacked, once they understand the intelligence related to the attackers, like they extracted the TTPs and the other attack patterns and indicator, they share this information on this open source platform where multiple organizations of the same community has also joined. So it's kind of social media for sharing the threat intel. Okay. So if there is a company of nuclear power plant and there is some another company of same domain has got attacked by a APT group, then if that the attacked company has uploaded the threat intel related to the attack, such as here you have they have listed a sample. So the other company can be aware that the arising attacks, and they can implement their mitigation and the defense mechanism accordingly, countermeasures. So in the MISP they have a tab called Galaxy, where they list tools which has been used in the attack and the attack pattern in terms of TTPs. So what all attack patterns has been seen in the attack. Also it allows to add a snapshot or the images. This is helpful in the case when any spear phishing attack happened. So they can add it to make a more informed post for the other organization. Also MISP allows to link two incidents, and they allow to link and perform analysis about commonality and differences between two attack incidents uploaded on the MISP. And there are many security firms. One is named as Anomaly. They list out the threat analysis reports, and in the reports they, as we discussed this in the last class, they list out the techniques or TTPs extracted in the end of the report. Similarly, McAfee also lists out the reports along with TTPs and their procedure level details at the end of their threat analysis report. We will see few of examples of such security firms. CrowdStrike, they add this technique list like techniques observed in the beginning of their report, which one can see and understand the whole attack flow. There is one more security firm, Digital Shadow, who gives the tactics and their TTPs like trusted relationship, and along with that mitigation advice, which one organization can leverage to apply mitigation methods on their organization. So for this trusted relationship TTP, they have given 3 different mitigations. So all these things is being done to share the threat intelligence detail, the attack data and the information related to the attack. So there is recorded future who give us this wonderful timeline based on these APT groups when they were active and what exactly they were doing in that active period. So there is unit 42. So till now whatever this threat information sharing we saw is in natural language, so human readable, and now unit 48 gives in a format of this with the name of indicator pattern, which they show as a machine readable, like domain name having some value equals to this. Similarly command line process, there is some process in which the command line has been used and this is the command. So in some structured format they provide the information so that it can be processed easily further. Similarly this is the example which you already discussed, like MITRE attack list out the techniques and their corresponding procedure level details, and how we map TTPs from the full text report is like in this sentence represents that attackers have used mimic cache to dump credential and use Kerberos golden techniques for authentication, and this sentence while reading is going to map to a technique which is named as credential dumping. So to understand to get the idea of techniques, you need to go through the attack matrix techniques details, their details is available on their website, and the different examples in terms of procedure, so that after reading about the techniques you can after that reading the sentences you can connect the techniques and the sentences in a better way. So this is a glimpse, this is a very old version of MITRE attack navigator. So in which this yellow highlighted TTPs are techniques used by APT28, which has been mapped by using open source threat intel reports. So this is another example of APT29 where blue mark TTPs has been used by APT29 group. It is again mapped using the threat intel reports. Now if one have these two APT28, APT29 details in a MITRE attack navigator form, they can merge both and see what all the common techniques these both groups employ and what are the distinguished techniques they have. So you can say yellow represents the APT28 group, blue represents APT29 group, and the green techniques represents the common techniques between both APT group. So once you understand this, an organization can use this information to see how robust their defensive mechanism is against these APT groups attack methods. Like assume our organization see that these three methods, these five methods our organization is lacking, there is a gap and there is a possibility to execute being executed in our environment. So they may focus on these 5 techniques, how they can implement a defensive mechanism specific to these techniques. Okay. So this attack navigator facilitates to storing and analyzing these extracted TTPs or threat intel using this navigator tool, which is open source. You can also host this navigator tool locally on your machine, and there is a online hosted version which I showed you last class. Then you can export this mapped TTPs in JSON format, which is in machine readable format, which can be further ingested in other tools which supports these patterns. Also it will allow you to visualize the data. So now we will see a demo of attack navigator. So this is the navigator tool. So in the header side there is all 14 different tactics here, and there is a number of techniques listed inside each tactic. Then there are a list of techniques which has been listed inside every tactic. Let me rephrase it. So now let me create it again. Yes. So we will see the functionality of this navigator tool one by one. So there are several functionality. If you notice that there are some techniques which has been listed in multiple tactics. So this boot or login auto start execution technique lies inside persistence and privilege escalation, because one can use this method to achieve both persistence and privilege escalation. And for our case, like if we are analyzing, the attackers have used this method to only make the persistent connection, not the privilege escalation. So if I want to map this technique on this navigator, so I need to choose only this tab. If I selected this, you can see there is a rectangle over this technique. So this is both these techniques has been selected. If you want to go with only one technique, this is the selection behavior lock and unlock button. You can click here and see how you want to select the techniques, whether it should be across the tactics or only the tactics which you are clicking on. So we will just disable this, and now if we will choose this, we are going to only choose the one techniques. Further, there is a search option where one can search about the techniques, about the thread group. Let me show you, this is a technique listed here. There are total 625 techniques, including enterprise and the other ICS and mobile. There are 141 thread group details. There are 648 softwares and mitigation methods, champion and data sources. So if I want to see APT29 groups TTP, which whatever they have used till now, and there is also search setting where you can filter the things what exactly you want to search. So assume we want to go with name and attack ID. So we will write here APT29. So you can see there is no technique which consists this APT29, but there is a threat group APT29. So on the select button you can select all techniques which APT29 has used till now, and deselect, you can deselect them. Similarly, if you want to see only techniques related to registry, techniques which involves registry, so you can find there is a techniques listed here which involves registry information. So assume you got some behavior where you are suspecting that there has been registry used in that operation. So you can directly search here and see what all techniques we have which utilizes registry, and one by one you can go and see the techniques and understand which technique lies to that behavior. Now as I selected APT29 TTPs, now I assume I selected this TTP and now I want to deselect it. There is one option here, cross sign, from where you can deselect all the selected techniques. You might be seeing the difference now. This was the related to selection control. Now we have this layer control where we will be controlling layers. So this calls as one layer in attack navigator. Here you can use you can rename this layer by some by a name like APT29. You can give a description which can help your team to understand what exactly you are mapping to, and then you can add the domain details, like we are going with the I opened IT enterprise navigator only. So this is disabled right now. So this is enterprise. You can add some metadata, the analysis which you are performing. If there is something related to the this layers and this intel, you can add here as a metadata. Also you add a link which can give some contextual information for the other analyst. Okay, assume once we mapped it. Okay, now you can export this in the form of JSON by clicking here, in form of Excel by clicking here, and also in form of SVG format like this, which help us to use this mapped techniques in an image form on the presentation. As we just saw in our presentation, we had APT2829 TTP's mapped image. So you can use SVG format for that. Now here you can filter out the platform, which platforms related techniques you want to see. You might be seeing number of techniques is being changing when I am filtering out the this platforms. So now my this navigator is only for techniques which is related to the window platform. You can sort this techniques in inside each tactics based on this alphabetic number and the score. We will discuss what a score is. Then there is a color setup. You can set different color for the different selection. This is to show and hide disable. If you have disabled any techniques, you can click and you can hide those disabled techniques, or you can see all the techniques by clicking here. Now as we discuss, each TTP has sub technique, not each, some of the TTPs has sub technique. So you can see there is this boot or logon auto start execution having sub technique, many sub techniques. Once you click here, you can see all these sub techniques lies in this technique. If you want to see techniques along with the whole sub techniques present in this attack navigator, you can directly click here. This will get expanded and you can see each technique along with their sub technique. You can collapse using this. Also, if assume I mapped this SAS driver technique. I selected this by coloring this, and we can go to system services, and this service execution I selected. These two sub techniques I selected. Okay. Now I want to see only sub techniques which we have selected in our analysis. So you can click here, expand annotated sub techniques. You can see only these two sub techniques will get expanded in that case. Also you can change the layout. There are various different layouts to see these layers. There is a button to show IDs, like till now we are just seeing technique names. Along with their ID, if you want to see, we can click here. And also the aggregated score, what aggregated score is, we will be discussing further. Also if you want to disable this techniques, you can toggle this by clicking here. So you can see this has been disabled. Once you want to enable it again, you can again click here. This is to selecting colors for the techniques which you are selecting. As we saw in the PPT, there was yellow and blue. Here if you select this technique, and you want to add contextual information which may lie that why you are saying that these techniques attackers have used. So those contextual informations you can add here in comment section. You have link here to add the link. You have different metadata if you want to add for each and every techniques, you can add it. This is to, if you want to clear all annotations, you can click, let me show you. And this is for sticky toolbar. So there is, you might be seeing, once I am enabling it, this is disable mode, when I am enabling it, there is an kind of note where you can click on here and get all information about this MITRE ATT&CK Navigator, which you can see. So this was the all detail of the ATT&CK Navigator. Now we will see how those APT 28 and 29 details which we saw just has been mapped. So we will name this layer as, we will compare APT 3 and APT 29 for this comparison. So I will name it these as APT 3. I will search here APT 3. So APT 3, this is the group. I can select every techniques has been seen in the past which APT 3 has used, can be selected now. Okay. Yeah, there was scoring option, I missed it. This score, there is a scoring option where you can give a score to the techniques in between 0 to 100, what kind of rating, how in terms of a different perspective, like how important it is and how different it is based on your analysis what you are doing. For now we will just give a random number for scoring. So I am giving say similar score for all selected TTPs, score 1. Okay, so you can see there are several techniques which has been selected now. Okay, I will just rename it again. Okay, so we are done now. Now we will add one more layer here and we will again similarly map APT 29 group details. So APT 29 is a Russian group and APT 3 is a Chinese group. We selected and now I will give a score. So I will give it score as 2. So this score can have different meaning based on what we are trying to do. For here I am just distinguishing between APT 29 group TTP and APT 3 TTPs by seeing the score. Okay. Now there is two different layer. Now I have information of APT3 TTP, APT29. How I'll club all both of them? So for that I'll create one another layer. So there we can see in the starting page we have a different option like creating new layer, open existing layer, create layer from other layer and create customized navigator. So the third option, create layers from other layer, will help in this case. So we'll click here, we'll see which navigator we want to load. So it is enterprise, the latest one is version 14. Now you must be seeing that this APT3 and APT29 has been labeled as A and B to help them to understand how I should express the score which I have given to the TTPs. So A represents APT3 TTPs, B represents APT29 TTPs. So I will just give expression as A plus B. It means the score given to the TTP of APT3 having 1 score and APT29 having 2 score. So wherever this techniques presents both in the group should have score 3 now, 1 plus 2. Okay? And now this is the some customization related to the this colors and all. We can leave it, leave everything as it is, or if you want to add something you can add here. We'll click on create layer. So now you can see there are 3 colors, yellow, red and green. If you hover mouse on the yellow one, you can see this is score 2. You might be seeing score 2. So which is representing that this yellow color marked TTPs are of APT29. The red one is score 1 which is used by APT28 and this green one is score 3 which has been used by both of the group. Okay? Also, if you want to change this based on your interest, you can click and change any color with this. You can select anything randomly. Based on your choice. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So now you can see we have changed the color. Is it clear? So you for the assignment 2, I missed to announce that assignment 2 has been released now last night. So you have to do this such mapping like this APT3 and APT29 we mapped. So you have to extract TTPs from the given threat report. You have to map it here for each TTP. Assume for this. For this, if they have exploited the web server which was faced towards the public domain, this case, if you selected this, you have to go to the comment section and add that exploited. Okay? So this will give a contextual information why you selected this technique. So once we add any comment here, you might be seeing that there is a yellow underline with the techniques which represents that this technique has some contextual information. If you hover mouse here, you can see comment along with this score. Okay? Now we will see another exercise which is present in this MITRE CTI training under exercise 4, where you have been given 2 APT groups techniques detailed, APT9 and Cobalt Kitty, and you have to perform the same experiment by yourself. You have to open the attack navigator, you have to enter the techniques used by APT39 and Cobalt Kitty group, and by giving them unique score for each group. Then you have to combine both layer in the navigator. Then you have to create another layer which consists both groups techniques and their common and distinguished techniques. And once you are done with this, you can make a list of overlap techniques between the groups. I missed to show you how you can export this. So I showed the button, but I'll just show you how you can export here. So you can download here directly. You can see JSON downloaded. We can open this JSON. So here you can see JSON. This JSON also you are supposed to give in the assignment. So this is, sorry, not JSON, Excel one. So, the versions and other details related to the Navigator which we used. So, there is domain information, description, what all the platforms we used to map the TTPs, what were this, whether we followed sorting methods or not. Then there is a layout information, what exactly we selected options from the layout. Then there is technique details starts. So, here T1027 execution tactics having 2 score has been enabled, true. Similarly, there will be various techniques for the persistence, for the privilege escalation. You can see there is various techniques which were listed there, has been listed here. So, this is kind of machine readable format which can be used further to ingest it for the other tools which supports MITRE, this threat intel in terms of TTPs. So, these are the other metadata grid and color information which we selected. Okay. Now, I will just show you the SVG format one. You can see you can directly download this and see a nice picture which you have mapped right now. Okay. So, this was all about the attack navigator demo. So, the similar experiment you have to perform by using these materials listed here in exercise 4. So, once you mapped it, this you will be getting similar kind of interface where this yellow one is for APT39, blue one is Ocean Lotus and green one is has been used by both groups. So, these are the overlap techniques which has been used in this experiment, in this practice exercise, in which spear phishing attachment and link were common in both group. Scheduling task to automatically execute the executables has been used by both groups. Scripting, which is obvious in any attack, the attacker will use scripting. User execution, as there is a spear phishing attachment and link, user is expected to execute or either click on the link or click on the attachment. So, this is also obvious if there is a spear phishing attachment. So, there will be TTPs which are correlated. So, if one TTP is occurring, there is a high chance that other TTPs is also occurring. So, while you are extracting the TTPs from the report, you have to see that if you are getting this, you have to see how this attachment image were executed. So, if it is downloaded and auto run, then it is okay, but if it is supposed to get clicked by user, then this technique will get mapped. So, there are some attachment comes in terms of PDFs or the Word, Microsoft Word, where in the macro section attackers added JavaScript code. So, in such cases user are expected to open the Microsoft Word document. Once they open that document in the machine, the macro which the script placed in the macro section it gets executed automatically. Similarly, registry run key were common in both the groups activity and the network service scanning. So, now there is just a quick question answer quiz. So, please go to menti.com and use this code. In this quiz, there is few sentences I just wrote and you have to read the sentence and understand what exactly it is doing, and you have to select the techniques based on your understanding. So, if anyone having any doubt, you can ask. Related to Navigator, have you checked assignment? Anyone checked assignment? So, before starting this, let me show you assignment first then, but you can anyway you can go to this and click for the quiz. So, in the assignment section, you can see homework 2 is up now. You can go here. This assignment is a group assignment where you have been given set of reports, one report to each group. You have to read that and map its content, the sentences to the attack TTPs, and you have to use attack navigator to store those extracted TTPs and then you have to each extracted TTP you have to add the contextual information, what exactly why you are mapping that reasoning behind the choosing that techniques from the report, and then also you have to add defensive recommendation which we are yet to cover. So, we will cover this defensive recommendation in next class. So, you have to add this too in your PDF report. So, as a submission you are expected to create a single PDF file for each group in which there will be one cover page having group number, names and roll number as you did for assignment 1, and then this PDF will include detail about your mapping, how you mapped and why you chose such techniques which you already mapped in the Navigator. Along with that you have to add the defensive recommendation. So, to give the defensive recommendation, one should have an idea of the organization which has been attacked. So, as this is a threat report and we do not have much information about the victim organization, so you are free to make an assumption about the organization and then give the defensive recommendation based on your assumption. So, you have to declare your assumption what you have made about the organization before giving the defensive recommendation. Okay. Again you can access your assignment 2 from here, you can access group list from here, and you can also access this reports, this there is a file which has 30 groups and all 30 groups is expected to all 30 reports is present in this zip file. Then there is, this is the list of the table which contains the mapping between group and PDF report which has been given to you. So, first column group name and the second one is assigned report. The deadline for the assignment 2 is I believe 26th February, and you are expected to submit this on Canvas, one submission each group before 11:59 p.m. Okay? Is it clear? So, now we will go to, so now this is a report, this is an analysis report in which published by Microsoft which is talking about the latest early stage tool set which has been used by Nobelian APT group. Okay, so you can start reading from here, but you can see that recently Nobelium have used email based attack in which they are targeting sending spear phishing emails to the victim. So, you can see what all how they attack. Let me open that section. Okay. So, you can see here they have used this different kind of, so you can say malicious softwares, InViscod, Bombbox, Native Zone and Vapor Race. So, this report talks about all these softwares which they have used or the malicious files which they have used. So, for InViscod they found this HTML as a malicious file of type HTML, nv.html, which describes the malicious dropper, like this HTML is kind of capable of dropping the malicious executable, and which has been, you can read the sentence like, can be best described as a malicious dropper capable of deobfuscating and writing malicious ISO file to disk. It means this HTML file is capable of dropping malicious executables on the machine, then deobfuscating them. It means the executable which has been being dropped is obfuscated. So, there is one more technique to obfuscate and there is another technique for deobfuscate. So, you can choose those techniques. Also again this is delivered to targets Nobelium by way of an attachment to spear phishing email. So, this HTML is being delivered using a spear phishing email. So, there is a techniques named as phishing in the Navigator tool. Let me show you. So, there should be obfuscation. One second. You can go in the search section, disable all this, not required, only name and obfuscation. So you can see in this technique, you can getting two techniques, obfuscated file or information or deobfuscated decode file or information. So whatever obfuscated files is being delivered on the attacker victim machine, they are supposed to deobfuscate before executing. So you can select this technique and color it. Also select this, color this. We can see deobfuscated and obfuscated one. So this both lies in defense evasion tactics, like when attackers try to evade defensive mechanism deploy on the victim machine, these two techniques usually performed. Then now you can see in the HTML body section what they observed, that there is image information which is hosted on a unknown IP and one of the website. So what it is meaning, that this img_1k and img_tst images will be getting downloaded once you run this HTML object, okay, and which will be downloaded from this IP and this web address. So these two can be extracted in the list of IOCs, indicator of compromise, which can be a CNC server IP address and the web address. So there is one more tool for downloading these files from the CNC server, and we say it ingress tool transfer. So this technique represents when attackers try to download subsequent droppers or subsequent malicious files once they are into the victim machine, ingress tool transfer. So you can see this TTP ID T1105. I will just show you this detail of this TTP. So you can see they may adversaries may transfer tools and other files from the external machine to the victim machine. So you can select this tool, this TTPs again. Okay, we are not adding any context here. So let's add context here. Give IP name. Give the website name. So it will reflect that how and why you have a reasoning behind choosing this TTP. Similarly goes for deobfuscation and obfuscation one. Again we will go ahead and we will see what exactly these things are doing. So the first prefix with the file protocol, yes, here also you can see this is exactly downloading this file from this IP. File protocol is being used. In indicative attempt to coax the operating system send sensitive NTLM v2 material to a specified attacker's control IP address over port 445. So now you can see this port 445 comes under this commonly used ports or not, and accordingly you can add. Then again it is likely that attacker is running a credential capturing service such as a responder at the other end of this transaction. So here credential is being captured, so there might be a technique related to the credential capturing. Well, let me see. Okay, so this credential capturing is kind of broad, there is no such techniques named it, but there are various techniques which can be used to access the credential or capture the credential. So we need to see further details if there is given any. To map the exactly TTP inside the credential access tactic. Later brute forcing of this credential may result in the exposure. So I guess there is brute force if I remember correctly. Yes, there is brute force technique in the credential access section. So you can go and select this, mark it based on your color choice. Okay, add a comment here. Okay. Now, we will see the other helper code which is present in this malicious file, component 2. You have to go second portion of this NSCOT and see what they are doing. They are, the second part is the modified version of open source tool file saver, which is intended to assist in writing of files and disk via JavaScript. So, here you are getting a sense that scripting is being used for this purpose. So, you can go here in the scripting, you can search this one. In this technique, you can see we will directly map to sub technique. There should be JavaScript. Oh, here it is. So, we can click on directly sub techniques. So, whatever techniques, if they have a sub techniques, try to get this as a specific detail as you can. So, select JavaScript rather than technique here, select sub technique. The code is borrowed directly from publicly available variants with minor alteration. So, sometimes attackers use open source tools, they might tweak them based on their interest and objective, and then they use that to deploy the attack. So, their alteration includes white space removal, conversion of hex parameter to decimal. So, there was very minor conversion, what I can see, very minor alteration I can see, renaming the variables, which cannot be much, differentiating with the what they have. This what the method which they have implemented is circumvent for static analysis if someone is performing static analysis on the malicious file which has been captured. Now, we will see this component 3 which has obfuscated ISO file. So, we already guessed it obfuscation technique by saying deobfuscation, but here also you can get an evidence that the ISO file which was dropped was obfuscated. Obfuscated means either encoded or encrypted or compressed, like they have changed the state or the view of that malicious file. So, you can see that it contains a payload stored as a encoded blob. So, I believe, and this payload is decoded. So, this obfuscation or deobfuscation also contains this decoding and encoding method. So, we will not mark again. Then again see they are using base 64 payload and to encode and for encoding and decoding purpose. So, yesterday we saw that base 64s, we mapped it to the, no, I do not remember if we can mapped it. No, base 64, one second. Okay, there is data encoding having sub technique standard encoding. So, if they are using any standard methods to encode which is already known to the public, so you can choose this technique. If they are using some non-standard method like custom methods to encoding their payload, then you can choose this non-standard encoding method. Similarly, you can see this deobfuscating dropper script. You have to read one by one each sentence and understand the TTPs which is being represented by that sentence. Phishing we already mapped, I guess. No, I believe no, we did not map. So, you can see, you can read here in some iteration of the attacker's phishing campaign, they did this which is explained here. So, from here we can get a sense that attacker has sent, we read it in earlier I guess, they send a spear phishing emails. So, we can map this spear phishing email here, add contextual information again, and similarly you have to complete the whole report which has been given to you. So, you can extract details from images too if you can find any. So, here ADB-pack DLL. So, if there is, I believe there is a direct sub techniques for run DLL, but for ADB-pack I need to see. No, there is nothing, but for run DLL there should be something. Yeah, there is run DLL. So, if you are seeing any information in snapshots, so do not only see sentences of the reports, see the snapshots also. So, you may get some fruitful information from from the pictures placed in the report. These are the static analysis is being performed, reverse engineering is being performed on the dropped malicious file. So, you can see if you can find any information from here. Yes, so that's it. This is for today's class. You are expected to do this practice for your assignment 2. You just focus on these names and the past, if you can find anything related to the behavior, so that you can map that. That's it. So, you can see there is a link of IOCs. What all IOCs has been seen in this attack? Microsoft has given their GitHub repo, mistake. You can go and see. This is something different. Okay. So, in next class, we will see defensive recommendation. We will see one case study, how we are making assumption of the organization and how we are extracting TTPs. Extracting TTPs will go a bit fast. Then how for extracted TTPs, what all assumptions we can give for such scenario. Okay? And that is only your assignment 2. Is it clear? Any doubt? Thank you.